and gonna run the world. It's not. Well, first of all, the Chinese are not that stupid. The West, with its Christian roots, are about converting other people into their beliefs. The Chinese are not about that. It's just I'm not degrading the Western culture. I'm just pointing out the inherent nature, the DNAs of two different cultures. The Chinese, 2,000 years ago, built the Great Wall to keep the barbarians out, not to invade them.
It's called the Christian Taiping Rebellion because of its connection to Christianity. So we're going to continue with this question for this part of the unit. What factors in the 1800s allowed the West to advance ahead of China? So we will talk about context, Christian Taiping Rebellion, and the leader of that movement was Hung Hsuo-Chuen. We will mention source for this part of the course, and then we will mention what's coming up next time.
You're walking in town, and a guy with a hacked-up haircut calls you over and tells you that he's just come back from heaven, where he's met God. God has revealed to him that he is the younger brother of Jesus, and that he wants you to hack up your hair too, leave your home, swear a vow of celibacy, and try to overthrow the government, because they're demons. If you said back away slowly, or call Homeland Security, then you're not thinking like a peasant from South China in the 1850s, which, weirdly enough, is what we have to do. Well, if we were historians. Because history, you see, is people. Other people, to be precise. You're never going to understand events bigger than yourself unless you stop thinking, what would I do in that situation? Or even worse, getting all judgy on the people of the past for not knowing how things are going to turn out. To understand history, you have to think like other people, even the folks who fought the Taiping Rebellion, the deadliest civil war of all time. The Taiping was an attempt to turn China into a Christian utopia by overthrowing the Qing dynasty, which ruled what was then the most populous and wealthiest state on earth in the early 19th century. From the time it began in 1850 until it was quelled in 1864, at least 25 million people perished, mostly from starvation, although many of the Taiping leaders, upon seeing that their chance to create a utopia was doomed, chose to enter just a little bit sooner than average, flinging themselves off the 50-foot high walls of the city of Nanjing. The numbers of Taiping are staggering. It was the second worst war in modern history, deadlier than the Civil War, the Franco-Prussian War, and World War I combined. And the bitter irony is that a population larger than Australia today lost their lives fighting for a Taiping, a Mandarin word that means heavenly peace. To understand Taiping, you must know its people, and the man Huang was at its center. Han was a would-be Confucian scholar until he flunked 3 consecutive civil servants exams, after which he fell in with a Protestant minister and became homeless. Soon, he began going into ecstatic trances, where he went to heaven and got instructions. In one, a bearded man with a thick belt, whom Han decided was Jesus, told him that he was Jesus' Chinese brother, that is to say, God's Chinese son, and that his mission was to destroy demons. The demons, Han decided, were the Qing. In another, he got his revenge on Confucius in 50 Shades of Grey fashion, when he and a crack team of angels trussed up and gagged the Chinese sage and flogged him until he screamed. These visions only seem crazy if you're looking at them with a modern perspective. Seen through the eyes of the kinds of people who would have heard Han, they make a shrewd, even brilliant sense. Analects to learn, and even then 19 out of every 20 people who took the exam, including Han, failed. When Han told peasants that Confucius was out and Jesus was in, peasants suddenly were given the gift of being released from the toughest exam on earth, and instead given a simpler, far simpler guidebook to learn the New Testament, which Han very pointedly informed them said that the meek, i.e. them, would inherit the earth, i.e. their farmland. And Han walked that walk, stripping rich landlords wherever the Taiping conquered, and abolishing private property. Now look at, by using our skills at research, evidence, and empathy, we can listen to them, the people who listened to Han. And tell that to the next person who says, you're studying history. What good is that? Because history is people, understanding people. And what government wouldn't find it useful? Someone who could understand the young Westerners now heeding the call of jihadists in the Middle East. What startup company, especially an online video company, wouldn't find useful someone who could understand and get into the heads of its customers and users? It's not just history that's people, it's the world. History is a ticket into that world. What we haven't done so far is understand what turned a heavenly peace into such hellish violence. To understand that, we're going to have to get into the heads of people who weren't Chinese. We're going to have to understand the world through Europeans and their wants. Men like this one, and this one, and this one, which we'll study in the next video.
Vultures of what was left of the dying Manchu dynasty. The once powerful Chinese people fumed as they saw their land and protectorates taken over by foreigners. Hong Kong and Burma were lost to England, Korea to Japan, and Vietnam to France. As the power structure within the Manchu court struggled to maintain its tenuous control within China, foreign encroachment intensified internal political conflicts. What had been an ancient closed society was threatened by the corruption of progress and foreign influence.
When the United States gained control of the Philippines as a result of the Spanish-American War, many saw the possession of the islands as a gateway to large markets in mainland Asia. American products could be sold there, and many capitalists envisioned a new and untapped market for investors in large-scale railroad construction and enormous amounts of foreign intervention. Britain, France, Germany, Russia, and Japan all had established settlements along China's coast. These nations also managed sizable spheres of influence where each country maintained strict economic control. The U.S. government and American investors
In China's capital, Peking, where from these ancient altars countless emperors had sought the mandate of heaven, the myth of heavenly rule persisted still. But deep within the palaces where China's Manchu emperors reigned, by 1900 that myth too was dead. For here ruled China's evil spirit, the Empress Dowager Cixi.
Hostilities that had been simmering for decades exploded when China declared war against the foreign powers of France, Russia, England, Japan, Austria, Italy, Germany, and the United States. The Chinese became distrustful of foreigners and were greatly concerned by the influx of Christian missionaries who converted an increasing number of Chinese to an alien religion. A campaign of terror had begun the previous year when a secret organization called the Boxers began killing Christian missionaries and their converts in the northern provinces of China. The Boxers were a clandestine social society that had been in existence since the early 1700s. The group preached a mixture of Buddhist, Confucian, and Taoist ideas and was rabidly opposed to any change in ancient culture. Members practiced a form of shadow boxing and believed that followers of the cult were invulnerable.
1,000 villages deep in China mirrored her primitive hatred of the foreign devil. Moreover, their passions had found flag and leaders as a secret brotherhood, the Boxers, began to flourish. Kill the white man, burn his mission, said the Boxers, claiming magic charms could make their bodies impervious to Western bullets. With the Empress' consent, in early 1900, they began to kill. One of America's great novelists, then a missionary child, was at the time in China. Miss Pearl Buck recalled,
In May of 1900, the Boxers killed 4 French and Belgian railway engineers. This was followed by the murder of the Japanese chancellor in Peking. The foreign powers responded by sending ships and troops to China. The imperial court had initially condemned the Boxer violence and had sent government troops to quell the uprising. But the ruling Dowager Empress, Cixi, was eventually won over to the Boxer cause as a result of foreign attacks on Chinese ports, and the rumor that the foreign powers wanted to return her deposed nephew to power.
In Here at Peking, within these massive walls, for almost 2 months, 3,000 foreigners and Christian converts gathered under siege to fight for life. Their sandbagged embassies a bastion against Boxer fanatics. From around the world, navies rushed troops to raise the siege. Britons, Americans, Russians, French, Germans, Japanese raced with field guns and modern rifles, whose bullets no Boxer magic could resist.
Seeing American interest,
The Boxers invaded Peking, brandishing spears, topped with the heads of murdered missionaries. They laid siege to the foreign legations, where almost 1,000 foreigners and 3,000 Chinese Christians had taken refuge.
thousands of Chinese died as a result of the fighting. After the conflict ended, John Hay issued a second
In a pathetic state. I can't find a better word than that. Pathetic. And they have their ulama to live. Yes. I don't know what advice I can give, because I believe it's now too late. Very sad. There is a parallel between India and the Balkans. That Islam came to India and Islam came to the Balkans as an oppressor, waging unjust war on Hindu-India and waging unjust war on the Orthodox Christian Balkans. And there is no oppression in Islam. And the Muslims responded with pride. We are proud of the wars launched by the Ottomans against the Christians. And we slaughtered so many Christians. And we enslaved their women. And we took their sons and converted them by force to Islam. And we took their big cathedral, Hagia Sophia, and we converted it into a masjid. Oh, what wonderful people we are. The same thing in India. The Hindus did not invite you to come and rule over them. No. The Mughals waged unjust war on Hindu-India and imposed rule of Islam over India by force, oppression. Do you think the Hindus are going to love you? Huh? Do you think the Orthodox Christians are going to love you when you're an oppressor? No. The way to correct that situation is for the ulama to first of all denounce oppression, and number two, apologize to the oppressed that this is not Islam. That is now beginning to take place in the Balkans. Alhamdulillah.